All right, everybody. Week 4 film breakdown. Browns offense, obviously a tough loss to the Oakland Raiders. This is probably a team that we should beat almost every time. Raiders without Devontae Adams, their best player on offense, without Max Crosby, their best pass rusher on defense. Offense only scores 10 points, so obviously a disappointing one, to say the least. We're going to go through it all today. We're going to go through the good, the bad, the ugly. We're going to talk about the offensive line performance again, which ranked out, I think, pretty brutally. Once again, this has been the worst unit on the offense all 4 weeks in a row, and we saw it this week again with the Raiders. We're going to talk about Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson actually played a great game. We'll kind of go through the plays that he made. I think this was definitely Deshaun Watson's best game of the season that we've seen by him. Now, if you've watched the film breakdown here in the past, I think, the narrative going around is that, he's been the problem. He's the sole one and only problem. If you've seen our previous film breakdowns, you'll know that there's a lot more going on. But I think Deshaun went out and proved it today and went out and really played a great game. And the fact that we had to lose despite a great quarterback performance is pretty tough. We'll also cover Kevin Stefanski. I think a couple questionable calls and decisions that were made that hurt the offense today. We'll talk about the run game, why we're so ineffective on the run. We'll talk about Amari Cooper, another big drop on the day. He had some other plays, but again, another one, a critical one that's hurting us. Jerry Jeudy, I think, is playing well. We'll cover that. And then, even though this is an offensive breakdown, we'll kind of do a little recap, a little 5-minute recap on how the defense performed as well. But I want to go ahead and start things off with the only bright spot on the offense, and that was Deshaun Watson. Now, if you're listening to Cleveland radio or you're on social media, the narrative around Deshaun Watson that you hear about 75% of the time is that this is the worst trade ever in the history of trades. That right now that we're plagued by dysfunctional quarterback play. Had we just had Flacco, we'd be doing great. That this is the worst contract in the history of financial currency. That he hasn't had a 300-yard game, yada, yada, yada. Again, pretty much everybody or a lot of the media is blaming almost everything on Deshaun Watson, which if you've seen last week's breakdown, you'll know that there's so much more going on beyond that, even in games that he hasn't been good. And so if that's your worldview, if that's your narrative, that Deshaun Watson's the only problem here, I think this game should have flipped the script for you. It probably should open some eyes in terms of how good he really played. So before we get into Deshaun Watson, I want to highlight real quick Deshaun Watson's PFF ranking. So we're going to be highlighting a bunch of PFF rankings today. Not that PFF is the end-all, be-all, but we're going to use that as a basis for why these players ranked out the way they did. Deshaun Watson ranks out with an 88.5 PFF ranking, which is an awesome game for PFF. If you break this down, you look at the quarterback performances for Week 4. This is the number 2 quarterback performance in all of Week 4, according to PFF. Now, you might notice, Joe Flacco's not in the top 20 here. The only person that was higher than Deshaun Watson was Lamar Jackson. So this is really an awesome game, rated out by PFF for Deshaun Watson. We're going to break down why he was graded so high and why we should have, I think, be a little bit more excited about what we have going on at quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, despite the narratives that circle and circle. So let's dive into Deshaun Watson. On the day, Deshaun Watson was 24 for 32. He completed 75% of his passes. And when you break down the adjusted completion percentage, which takes out things like drops or spikes or throwaways, Deshaun actually completed 83.3% of his passes, which is exactly what you want to see. He struggled a little bit last week on the blitzes. We weren't able to pick them up, and those were sacks, ineffective plays. Today he was 8 for 10 passing when blitzes came. I think the best way to demonstrate how good Deshaun Watson was today, I want to dive first into his incompletions. So as you guys know, I'm sure everyone knows what a completion is and that it's good for the quarterback. I want to dive into the incompletions, which were 8 of them. Weren't a whole lot of them. And just to demonstrate how good of a job that Deshaun Watson did, even in the so-called worst moments of the game for him. So let's break down all 8 incompletions. We can go through it pretty quick. You see here on this first play, Deshaun Watson steps back, and this is the Cooper drop, right? You can see at the top of the screen here, Jerry Jeudy's covered. So I think he originally looks Jeudy, it looks like, up the top of the screen. Jeudy has no separation up here. And so he checks out of that, slides over to Amari Cooper. There's only 2 receivers really in the route that he's looking at here. Throws really a perfect ball. Again, we'll kind of slow this down here, but this ball hits Amari Cooper directly in the chest, pops up, and turns into an interception, right? And so instead of a 30-yard gain, 25-yard gain maybe, this is going to go down as an incompletion for Deshaun Watson as well as an interception. This one's pretty inexcusable from Amari Cooper. I don't have a whole lot to say positive. Not only was there an interception, but they were able to take it back 30 yards. The Raiders end up scoring a touchdown on this, and so instead of us driving for a touchdown to score 7 points, this turns into an interception where they actually turn around and score 7, so it's a 14-point swing. Good protection here in the pocket. And really, this is a great throw. This is right on the money. Right over the outstretched arms of 41, right into Cooper's chest. This is going to go down as one of his 8 incompletions. This is an awesome pass. Just to point out Amari Cooper has 6 drops now in the year. He dropped a touchdown week 1. He dropped another big one week 2 against Jacksonville as we were on the 10-yard line about ready to score. He drops this one in the game. This is a game-changing, critical play that I think Cooper let us down on. So again, his first incompletion, I love that pass. It's a great pass by Deshaun Watson. Let's jump to number 2 here. So if you jump to number 2, this is a throw out to Jerry Jeudy. I like the decision here that we're going. It's a quick out. Getting rid of the ball fast. Judy's got some separation. It's a decent throw. And again, this is a drop by Jerry Jeudy. Now, could we had a little bit better of a ball? Was it perfectly thrown? No, I'd say it's a little bit behind him. But for Jerry Jeudy, I think this is a ball you got to catch. Again, the Browns lead the league in drops, and these types of things are killing drives. So again, this is Deshaun's second incompletion. I don't really have a problem with that one. Jump over to the third incompletion of the day. You see we're going Amari Cooper deep, and this ultimately results in an incomplete pass. Kind of slow down and see what happened on this play. You're going to see Dawand Jones here on the right-hand side get absolutely torched. He just a complete misassignment. Here you see number 9 go right around Dawand Jones. In his own blocking scheme, Dawand Jones is supposed to be setting the edge here. And so he is supposed to be guarding this number 9, and you're supposed to be passing the people on the inside over to the right guard here. He completely misses the assignment. Number 9 goes untouched at Deshaun. Deshaun's got to throw this way too early. Somehow right now, as he's releasing the ball, he somehow sees that Jerry Jeudy's going to be open. I don't really know how. Maybe they saw the matchup they wanted earlier in the day. But he somehow saw that Amari Cooper was about ready to burn in this corner. And he knew that before he even threw it. It ended up being a great read. Now, if you look at when Amari Cooper is turning his head, I don't blame Amari Cooper for not seeing this ball because, again, this is a long developing deep route. We want Amari Cooper 30 to 40 yards downfield before he looks back for this ball. So you see that he does not turn his head to look back until he's about at the 35-yard line. By this point, the ball has already been released. It's already halfway in the air, and so Amari Cooper is just not seeing this ball at all, which is why he doesn't gravitate towards where the ball ends up going. It's a shame because this is a potential touchdown play that I think Dawand Jones forced Deshaun Watson to throw probably a second and a half too early. And instead of a potential touchdown, Amari's not ready for the ball right now. He's not thinking that after a second and a half that the ball's going to be out. This turns into just an incompletion instead of a touchdown. So you see Deshaun Watson ends up getting in Dawand's face. I love this. I think by week 4, again, after 4 consecutive weeks of this happening over and over again, I think there needs to be some accountability with how bad and how consistently bad we're missing assignments on the offensive line. You'll see after the play, though, Deshaun, even after he yells at him, I think good leadership here by meeting with him on the bench, hugging it out, making sure that we're still being uplifting and positive. But again, this is stuff that is really hurting the Browns. You ask why we had good quarterback play, but we only scored 10 points. Things like this kill us. So again, first three incompletions out of 8. I have really no problem with the decisions Deshaun made, the throws that he was making in his incompletions. We're going to jump to the next play, throw number 4 here. And this is one of my favorite Deshaun Watson throws of the day. You can see that Jerome Ford is tasked with picking up this block here on 41. He kind of whiffs on it. His guy goes right into Deshaun's face. This is not what you call a good throwing window. There's no room for Deshaun Watson to step up in the pocket right now. This is a low percentage throw here. And again, at this point, no one's really open. Again, top of the screen, nothing really here. Amari Cooper's double-teamed. Jordan Adkins is double-teamed. Even if you slow down into the route and you look at what Deshaun's looking at, it looks like he's looking right. And so, again, not a lot going on up here. I think that's Elijah Moore up top. Not a whole lot of separation. Cooper's doubled. Atkins is doubled. And quite frankly, Jerry Jeudy is not open either. So for Deshaun, with a guy in his face, unable to step up to make this throw right on the money, about 35, 40 yards downfield, right into Jerry Jeudy's hands, to me, this is one of my, even though this will go down as an incompletion, this is one of my favorite Deshaun Watson throws on the day. Again, we'll show the same play from the back angle. Jerome Ford here. Again, you want to see him hold that block a little bit longer. His guy kind of goes right through him. Again, really bad throwing window for Deshaun Watson. He's getting hit as he throws. But this ball, despite Jeudy not being open, is right on the money. Now, I don't blame Jeudy for not catching this. You'd like to see him come down with that. But the safety did a great job getting his shoulder in here and breaking up the ball. Sometimes you got to tip your hat to a good defensive play. I don't blame Jeudy there, but really one of my favorite throws by Deshaun, and that'll go down as an incompletion, one of his 8 incompletions. So first 4 incompletions, I really have zero problem whatsoever. I actually love some of these incompletions. I think they're actually great passes by Deshaun Watson. Let's jump here to number 5 here. You'll see Deshaun drops back. You'll see at the beginning here, you might say, why didn't he see Cooper right away? He's looking top of the screen. So the read here is one of these 3 receivers, if not 2 or 3. My guess is he's looking Jeudy here right out the gate. And even though Jeudy has a little separation, you'll see that Judy's route is going to be running right into 41. So Deshaun knows at this point, even though that there is separation right about now, that Jeudy is going to be running right into this linebacker. He's not open. Jordan Adkins isn't open. Elijah Moore at the top of the screen really has no separation. So Deshaun Watson does a pretty good job checking into Amari Cooper, which is probably his 2nd, 3rd, 4th read at this point. Now on the broadcast, you look at it and you say, hey, that's an easy pass. And Deshaun Watson missed it. How do you miss that pass? Right? And so that goes down as an incompletion. On the broadcast, not a good look throwing-wise from Deshaun Watson. It looked like an inaccurate pass. When you break it down further, again, you see Deshaun Watson looking at Amari Cooper. As he winds up to make this throw, you're going to see that Deshaun Watson's throwing right about now. And you'll see that Amari Cooper just sit here. But you'll see for whatever reason, Amari Cooper decides to jump to his left. Right as Deshaun's releasing the ball, this little jump right here to your left, that was the difference between this ball being completed or non-completed. And so, again, Deshaun throws right now to where Amari Cooper is, where he's sitting. Amari jumps out of the way. The ball ends up going to where he was. I don't know who you want to pin that on. Now, I think what Amari was thinking here, if we back things up here, is he's sort of sitting in this zone here, and he wants to sit in between these 2 defenders right here. So to me, just sit here, make the catch. Again, once you see Deshaun throwing up, you don't need to jump out of the way. I think what he's thinking is that this defender is moving in on himself, and so he wants to move to his right as he senses this defender coming. But again, to me, this one's kind of on Amari Cooper, I think. You have a direct line of sight to the quarterback. You see him throwing the ball. Don't do a jump step out of the way. So again, through 5 incomplete. Again, we're highlighting the bad plays from Deshaun Watson. We haven't even gone to the 24 completions, the 75% completion rating. We're 5 incompletions in out of 8, and I don't think we have a bad pass. In fact, I think we have a lot of good passes, which is I think why Deshaun ranks so well in this game. This is towards the end of the game here. I like to read. This ball just gets deflected at the line of scrimmage. Not a whole lot you can do here. I like how Deshaun Watson got back on the step, made a quick decision. You can see that Amari doesn't have separation. Jerry Jeudy doesn't have separation. His options here are Elijah Moore or Jordan Adkins. I don't mind the read here. It looks like he made a quick, decisive decision to hit Jordan Adkins. I like the decision here. He was quick. Just unfortunately, the ball ends up getting deflected. This is definitely an incompletion that you can live with, especially with him making good decisions on where to throw the ball. Here's the back angle from the same play. Again, you probably wish Dawand didn't get pushed back a few yards into the quarterback, but again, this one's kind of fluky. This will happen every once in a while. This is not an incompletion that I'm concerned about in any way. This would be Deshaun's 7th incompletion on the day. So you'll see he's sort of rolling out here. Now you might say, hey, Jerry Jeudy's open right now. This is kind of a misleading open to me because if you look at Jerry Jeudy's route, again, he's not looking for the ball until about here when he breaks this way. So the route is going to have Jerry Jeudy running into the safety. Now, if this was a comeback route, say Jerry Jeudy, the route was to plant right here, I think you might have him because he does have separation. But again, because he's going to be running right into the safety, I don't know if he's really open based on the route. Another sort of protection breakdown. So you'll see 84. This is the designed rollout to the left. So you can see immediately, without pressure, Deshaun's rolling to the left. And Stefanski likes to do these kind of rollouts, which I don't really love because it's a right-handed quarterback. We're making him run to his left. But I think 84 right here is supposed to seal this block. So you see with his feet here how he turns his feet to a 90-degree angle to block him inside. I think this is by design. I think you want to block that end in. And the whole point of the play design is so that Deshaun, while he's running to his left, has free space back here. Ultimately, that doesn't really happen. This 49 goes right around 84. And where Deshaun is supposed to sit is now kind of blown up. You'll also see that Dawand Jones down below here kind of gets burned by his guy. And so instead of him turning around and Deshaun Watson being able to run back into this pocket, now all of a sudden we have 2 guys that are on him. At this point, I think we talked about Jerry Jeudy kind of being phantom open. I don't think that's really a throw you want to make. Elijah Moore's kind of covered here up top. Jeudy's sort of, not too open here, and I think Deshaun, as he's getting pressured by 9, ends up throwing this away. Could a play have been made there? Maybe, but I think that's a smart throwaway given all the context that was going on in the pocket. Here's a back view of the same play. Again, here's where I think our tight end gets beat and allows 49 to run right into where Deshaun is supposed to have a clean pocket over here. Again, this is not a good time you want to throw to Jerry Jeudy with 41 right here because Dawand got beat. Deshaun's got to step up, try to make something out of nothing. And again, I think just intentional but smart throwaway here by Deshaun. And this is his last incompletion of the day. On this play, he sees top of the screen. You see almost all of the Raiders defenders are on the right hand of the screen. He sees one-on-one with Jerry Jeudy on a slant, and he takes it. So Jeudy, you can see, isn't creating a whole lot of separation. I think Deshaun thought that you give Jeudy a shot here on a one-on-one matchup. Jeudy sticks his foot in the ground, hits the slant, but again, this didn't really fool the corner here. Deshaun throws it in, ends up being a pretty solid pass on the money, but ends up being incomplete. Whether Jeudy dropped it or the ball was deflected, you can't really see for certain. But again, good pass on the money by Deshaun. Again, probably catchable, but you can't really see where the defender's hand is. And so this will go down as an incompletion, but not one that I'm really concerned about. And so We just went through, in the last 5 minutes, all 8 of the incompletions by Deshaun Watson on the game. To me, 5 of them I actually loved. I thought they were great plays by Deshaun, especially the one to Cooper that goes down as an interception, especially the one to Judy that he placed in there when no one else was open. Again, some of those didn't go our way, but I think Deshaun was making really good decisions, even on his incompletions. And so those were the worst plays of the game for Deshaun Watson. We just watched him. I didn't see a whole lot bad. I didn't see really many bad decisions at all. So now let's jump into the good, which, I mean, we haven't even gone into 24 completed passes for Deshaun. So let's talk about why he was rated the second best quarterback in all of football week 4. So we're going to dive into the first play here. See Deshaun steps back. Delivers a strike here to Elijah Moore. This is, I think, one of my favorite plays in the day from Deshaun Watson. I'll kind of rewind this here. And we'll talk about this in the James Hudson section. If you watch James Hudson, they're doing a little twist stunt move on us here. We're 44, and the defensive tackle are switching. James Hudson just completely does not pick this guy up. And so he has a complete free rush on Deshaun Watson. And so if you look right now at what Deshaun Watson is looking at and say, hey, is it realistic that we should be completing this pass? I would say there's no way in hell that we should have any business completing this pass. This looks like a sack. Literally nobody's open. And Deshaun is getting absolutely scrunched. And so for him to make this pass, I think, is probably my favorite play, or one of my favorite plays in the day for Deshaun Watson. This is Houston Deshaun. This is what we've been waiting for. So again, James Hudson, we'll cover this. I thought he played terrible today. Just getting burned, and that's your guy. Zone blocking, you're supposed to pass this guy off to Batonio on the right. 69 is your guy, James Hudson. Just lets him right through. And now you have a 300-pound lineman with a full head of steam that is going to take both feet off the ground and just pile drive our quarterback into the ground. For anyone that's questioning Deshaun's toughness, I think after this game you should reevaluate your stance. This is somebody that in college has played through a torn ACL. This is somebody that in the pros has played through punctured lungs. This is somebody that as a Brown has played through torn rotator cuffs in his throwing shoulder and even a full game with a broken throwing shoulder versus the Ravens. I think Deshaun's toughness on plays like this really show. Again, he didn't have to leave the game after that, and just stands in and delivers a strike to Elijah Moore, who really is not open on this play. This is just a great ball. All right, we'll jump to the second play that we really liked about Deshaun. And we're not going to go through all 24, but I'm showing you some of the highlights here. This is an area where I think he just made quicker decisions here today. Again, this is just a quick, nothing special here from Deshaun, but this is plays where I think he held the ball too long last time, or last couple games, where, again, today he was getting the ball out of his hands fast, which was negating some of the pressure that was coming. So, again, this guy's kind of coming through, but because we got rid of the ball fast, it's a good play. See, on this play, Deshaun steps back, delivers a strike here to Jerry Jeudy. This turns into a big play for the Browns here. This is a play where, again, they're rushing 5, and with our line, we'll get to the line a little bit, but not a super big area to step up. I'd say it's a clean enough pocket to make this throw, but not, a little crammed in here. So I think it's good for Deshaun to still be able to make a deep, route, 15 yards down the field. This turns into a 20-some yard gain by Jerry Jeudy. Definitely a good play here by Deshaun Watson. Good timing on the route, trusted his eyes, delivered a strike right on the money, right in stride to Jerry Jeudy. Turns into a big play. Jumping here to our next play, you're going to see there's a little bit of a rollout. You see maybe for a second you think he has Jerry Jeudy here, but again, with 41 that kind of comes in here, I don't really know how open that is. Cooper's really not open up here. There's really nothing to go with Cooper. Again, this route, kind of like we talked about a couple plays ago, is running Elijah Moore right into the safety. So he's not really going to be open. Deshaun scrambles out of this. sees a small window for Jerry Jeudy right now. Again, I don't really know if Jerry Judy's that open. Deshaun makes a great throw. Right on the money to hit Jerry Jeudy. We're going to watch this play from the back pylon angle. I'll note here that 49 here. At this point, probably thinks he has a clean shot at Deshaun. Again, he probably thinks at this point you got an easy sack. Deshaun gives him the little whoop-de-doo here to go right around him. Again, nice, just nice elusiveness by Deshaun to avoid getting hit there, buy some time with his feet, throw off one leg. Great form as you're throwing to your right, and just delivering a strike to someone that's really not that open in Jerry Jeudy. This was a fun throw, I think, by Deshaun Watson. Jump over to our next play here. Zac Zinter gets smoked. And we're going to highlight the offensive line in a little bit here. But Zac Zinter just gets blown right off the ball. Again, another area where you have a 300-pound lineman getting a clean shot at our quarterback, pile driving him into the ground. And so not that this 5-yard pass is anything that exciting, but again, it's just trusting your eyes, making a quick throw within a second to avoid the sack and make the play. Last week against the Giants, we got sacked 8 times. This was the things that I think Deshaun wasn't doing as well as he did today, was recognizing the blitz and getting it out to our hot routes. That was kind of the difference in the game to me when evaluating this game versus the game versus the Giants, where it felt like these types of plays against the Giants led to inevitable sacks every time, whereas I think Deshaun did a good job getting the ball out of his hands fast now. Again, Zac Zinter, you are putting our quarterback in a terrible spot by getting blown off the ball this bad. We'll talk about Zac Zinter. He rated out terribly, but good play. Jumping to our next play. Plays like these, not a whole lot going on downfield. You're seeing not a whole lot here from Jeudy. Maybe you could fit that in a tight window, but that's kind of a dangerous pass. Not a whole lot going on over here. Just hit the check down. And again, I know this isn't anything mind-blowing, a play like this, but this was the stuff that I think we weren't really doing against the Giants as well. Jumping to our next play here. We see Deshaun sort of scrambling here and kind of making something out of nothing. Again, I like Deshaun using his legs, not necessarily running around like a crazy man, but using his legs when necessary to evade a pocket that's sort of collapsing here up the middle, using his feet to buy time for people to get open, to beat 49, and to get the ball where we need to go. This was a play. We're sort of backed up in our end zone. We'll talk about some of this blocking issues, but we don't want to have Deshaun sitting in the back of the end zone getting sacked for a safety. When Deshaun, I think what I liked about this play, when Deshaun releases this ball, you see that this line, he decides right now that I'm going to throw to Jerry Jeudy, right? And I'll be honest, I don't know how he saw this, because you have a corner right here, but Deshaun, again, knowing that pressure's coming, we'll show that in a second, is able to make this throw kind of through this linebacker or corner and deliver a strike to Jerry Jeudy. He was just consistent on these, right? I mean, I just felt like he was a lot more in touch with where the receivers were going to be. We'll highlight this more in the offensive line section, but we have 5 down offensive linemen, and they're sending 4 blitzers. And again, this is another protection breakdown, right? We have 3 guys that are blocking 69, and we have 2 guys that are blocking 3 guys over here, which means this guy on the right with our quarterback in the end zone for a potential safety, we're just not going to block 20 at all. We're just going to let him go completely around the line, completely untouched. They're only rushing 4, right? They're not sending a blitz. This is 4 rushers, and we don't pick them up. So again, I think this is an area where Deshaun recognizes that. And then again, up the middle here. I think this is Dawand Jones getting beat. Number 9's causing havoc here in the middle. So Deshaun, again, these are areas where we got to get rid of the ball quick. Trust his eyes. Throws Jeudy open. I think we paused it before. Jeudy wasn't open at the point of the throw and delivers a throw to get us out of enemy territory. This was just a fun one. This was Deshaun running here. This linebacker right here has a clean shot at Deshaun Watson here. You see Deshaun puts on this shimmy move and just torches this linebacker. Just goes right around him. Yeah, we'll kind of slow that one down again. I thought this was just a fun run. Deshaun's elusive. He says he's not a running back, but those plays make an impact for us. Last play on Deshaun here that we'll show. Again, this is another one. The line breaks down. James Hudson. Again, James Hudson doesn't pick up the switch. He's left flat-footed. His guy is now right in Deshaun's face. And this is 3rd and 16 with the game on the line, right? So everyone's focused on the last play here, but this is 3rd and 16. We need a big play. This is a low percentage throw when you have a guy like this close in your face getting this burned. For him to make this strike to Amari Cooper here in the middle of 3 Raiders defenders on the money. And I know it didn't matter because we ended up not getting the 4th and 3, but this play, had we got the last play, it would have gone down, I think, as potential game-winning play before. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. But again, circling over to James Hudson. In zone blocking, you're supposed to switch off your guy. So Batonio, in my opinion, is doing the right thing. He's recognizing this twist move here. He's picking up his blocker. The person that doesn't do the right job is James Hudson. He's supposed to switch on to 69. He does not do that. Right? And so he's confused here on that he's supposed to be switching. He ends up getting hit. And what this results in is a pivotal play in the game where he's standing around and his guy has a clean shot at the quarterback. And again, this makes life tough. I thought this was impressive for Deshaun to be able to overcome stuff like that and still be able to make big gains for the Browns. If I am going to be critical of Deshaun Watson, I think there was 2 or 3 plays that I think I'd wish that he changed, and I think that's, again, he threw 32 passes, and I think I had a problem with 2 of them. So let's kind of highlight ones that I think he could have had back. See, on this play, he's looking Jerry Jeudy. He doesn't recognize immediately, but he sees this defender drop back into coverage. And so at this point, he realizes Judy's not open, so he's got to check down to his 2nd or 3rd read here. You see him moving his hips. Good job here, going to your 2nd or 3rd read. What I think he missed here is he's now got Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper's open now, up the seam. This could be a big gain if he sees him. I don't know why he checked out of that because I think he has Cooper here. So I got to knock him a little bit on this. See, this feels like an easy read, especially when we see it from the back view. I'm probably going to give him a B- because he ends up finding Jerry Jeudy, who wasn't originally open, and delivering a great ball right on the sideline. So we'll show the back pylon angle of this. So again, good job. Checks out of Jerry Jeudy, not open. Great job. Turning your hips fast to get to your 2nd read. Great job. Where I think he missed it and why this is on his negatives for me is he's got Cooper right here, and I think he's looking at him. And so I don't know if he was spooked by some of this pocket breakdown going on, but for whatever reason, he decided to not make this throw. And maybe these guys are in his face. Maybe they're blocking his window. I don't know, but I felt like this play was missed. Again, he ended up totally redeeming himself. He runs out. Again, this was a great game by Deshaun. Runs out, throws the ball in a spot where only Jerry Jeudy can get it. Perfectly thrown ball here, even as he's getting crushed after the throw. So even on plays where he might have missed a read, I think that was the most obvious one. He still made up for it. This was the 2nd play I had. And this isn't even really that much of a negative. We ended up checking this ball down to Jerome Ford here. Jerome Ford ends up getting 6 yards. So it ended up being a good play for Deshaun. But there was maybe 2 or 3 plays in this game where I think his first read here was Amari Cooper. And maybe we had a shot at a gain if he trusts this and gives an extra second in the pocket to let to let Amari Cooper break open. Again, not that much of a negative because we ended up, Jerome Ford's open too. Take the 6 yards, move on. But there might have been a play or two where we might have had somebody deep here. Not necessarily a harsh negative, but just something worth pointing out as we're going through the tape here. Lastly, this is the last play of the game. There's a lot of people on social media circulating screenshots like this, saying that Deshaun blew the game because there's 3 guys open guy here, open guy here, open guy here. I want to talk through this last play. This was the 4th and 3. That was a critical play at the end of the game here. And I just want to break down what happened in the play. And I do think that we had an open receiver, but I want to break down the logistics of what happened and why we didn't get the ball where it needed to go. So you see right at the gate, Deshaun's first read is to the left. So I think he is reading these 2 receivers as 1-2 in his progression. So I get right out of the gate that, you might think that, hey, somebody over here was open, but his first reads are to the left. He doesn't have 5 eyes in the back of his head. He's got to go through his progressions. To me, his first read was Amari Cooper on whether or not he could get open on a 3-yard route here. I think he sees right away that these 2 corners are on Cooper, and there's not going to be anything happening here. Now, I think what Deshaun is really reading, what this play is for, is he's reading this corner. If this corner comes down on Cooper, there's no way Cooper's going to be open. But he knows that Jordan Adkins is going to fly behind the corner here. And so if this corner breaks down on Cooper, you know that Adkins is going to be wide open for a touchdown. And so he's reading this corner. And I think right now, Deshaun's thinking in the back of his head, this corner is breaking down on Cooper. Adkins is going to fly open. But I want to show you what this corner did, and I think this corner actually saved the day and saved the game for the Oakland Raiders. You see this corner shifts his body over, plants his foot very quickly. I mean, I'm talking in a few frames here. Does a 90-degree turn, shifts his body, digs his feet in the ground, and does a full sprint back at Jordan Adkins. And so now, what we thought where Jordan Adkins was going to be wide open, now all of a sudden you have a corner running a 4-3 that's going to break backwards towards Adkins, and you still have the safety over top. What this turns into more is more of double coverage. Again, you'll see, if we're watching Jordan Adkins, how quickly what seemed to be what would have been an open play gets closed. And now essentially he's double covered. And so that's what I think spooked Deshaun about not throwing this ball. Now, could you throw it? Maybe. Yeah, I think a perfect pass in the back left of the end zone, throwing over this corner into the left of this safety, could have maybe had a shot, but I don't think it's as high a percentage of a throw as the screenshots, I think, make it appear. Ultimately, Deshaun gets flushed out. And we'll kind of show this, but I think the real shame of this, we'll talk about this in a sec, was Judy does break open here. I think this is the play. Deshaun's got to get to his 3rd read and make this. We'll talk about why. Well, you can kind of see why right now. He's not able to get to his 3rd read. He ends up scrambling out of this. I got to knock Deshaun a little bit on this play because you got to know the situation. It's 4th and 3, game on the line. Again, nobody's open right now at this point, so you got to just chuck it up. So I think in hindsight, you want to see this ball thrown up. A lollipop for a low completion or, a low percent pass, at least giving somebody a chance. But again, I want to break down what happened with the offensive line and why we couldn't get it to Jerry Jeudy. So again, at this point, Deshaun's looking to his left. You're going to see that again with our offensive line. They're doing this little twist move where the 49 and 53, 92, do a little switch here. And again, what you're going to see is 49 comes in unblocked. He's going to go around the 2 tackles, and he's going to come in completely unblocked. And this is a shame because guess what? This is where we want Deshaun stepping up to make this throw to Jerry Jeudy for a game-winning play. But again, they're only rushing, or I guess in this case they're rushing 5. We have 5 rushers and 5 blockers. We can't have somebody coming in untouched. And again, because we have this miscommunication breakdown, not only are we giving this 49 an untouched run at our quarterback, but 2 guys, Nick Harris and Zac Zinter, are completely whiffing the block on 94. He's blowing through the double team and getting right to our quarterback. And so again, this is the point We talked about checking out of the first two, where Deshaun, you want him to get to his third read and be able to get this ball to Jerry Jeudy for a game-winning touchdown. But at this point, you basically have three guys that blew the block. And specifically with 49 and 94, 49's not even touched. I mean, he's getting a free run at the quarterback. And so Deshaun feels that. He feels like he's got to run around at this point. You know, again, I think you want to see him throw it up, but, you know, that these are game killers. Again, if we cannot hold a block, if we cannot get an assignment right, you know, we're not going to have success getting to our third read. All right, so we talked about, I think, the best performer of the game. That was Deshaun Watson by a wide margin. I want to talk about how we had good quarterback performance and only scored 10 points. It's something that really does need to be studied. We've talked about the offensive line being the worst performing unit on this team 4 weeks in a row, and this was again the case versus the Raiders. I'm going to throw up real quick the offensive line rankings according to PFF. Again, the average of our 5 linemen that started today was a 50. And so, you know, again, that's bad. That's putting ourselves in really tough situations to run the ball, really tough situations to pass the ball. Now, PFF's not the end-all, be-all. Maybe you guys can have your own interpretation. I think if there's one area that I would push back on PFF, I thought Joe Bitonio had a good game. I went through every play in slow motion, and I didn't circle his name once. I actually think he's examples of someone that's doing the right thing. Obviously, Dawand Jones was really bad. We'll get into him. I thought Zac Zinter was really bad. We'll get into him. I mean, 42s and 45s, those are liabilities. Those are hurting us. Those are performances that take away from the game. And I really thought James Hudson was in the 40s too. I mean, if I had to critique PFF, I really thought that he was one of the 3 people that really imploded. I really don't think outside of Joel Bitonio that anybody did anything other than bad today. And so let's go into them one by one. We're going to start with Dawand Jones because he ranked out the lowest. We're going to talk about why he ranked out the lowest. We've already covered this play, but again, this could have costed us 7. He just completely whiffs on the block. And again, we've covered this throw here. We'll show this from the back end angle. See Dawand Jones here on the right-hand side. Just lets his guy go right around him. And what's a shame is Zac Zinter is actually doing the right thing. Zac Zinter is supposed to be on 56. So he's saying, Dawand, hey, you're supposed to be on 9. I got 56. But again, Dawand blows the block. Deshaun gets crushed. And what could have been a touchdown, Amari Cooper's open. Turns into a nothing game. Next play here, we're going to look at Dawand Jones here. This is a run blocking play. So not only is it affecting the pass, but it's affecting our run too. Our inability to run is problematic. We were halfway through the third quarter, we had 20 rushing yards on 12 carries. Deshaun Watson was our leading rusher with 21 yards in the third quarter. Not good enough. We were ineffective at running until basically the last run play of the game. You see Dawand here, seal the edge. You see the entire all 5 linemen moving to their right. That's because the play is designed to run here through where all the linemen are moving. So Dawand Jones is supposed to set this edge. He lets off his block, and again now instead of Jerome Ford being able to hit that hole, he's got to run the opposite way. So just not that this affected the run terribly, but this is just an example of how we are not good at run blocking. Here's another Dawand Jones example. I mean, they're just running right around him. This is kind of a joke. I mean, his guy is running right around him. He's not even bending. Again, this is not a 90-degree bend. This is not some crazy pass rusher. This is not Max Crosby. Again, this is probably Max Crosby's backup that just ran right around Dawand Jones. This might have been a penalty that negated that, but again, not what we want to see. See Dawand here on the right. Just kind of gets beat. Luckily, Deshaun scrambles out of this, turns it into a decent-sized gain here. But if you look at Dawand Jones here on the right, you see he's got his guy, and the guy just spins around him. And so I don't know if the left guard is doing Deshaun any favors either. But speaking of Dawand, again, you're just making life. He ends up not getting sacked. Good job by Deshaun Watson to get out of this, but not where we want our quarterback from a clean pocket perspective to be in. Luckily, Deshaun gets a few yards here and ends up being a positive play. This play with Dawand, now maybe somebody that is offensive line connoisseur can push back if I'm wrong on this one. It just feels like we are running right through where he is, and it's strange to me that he feels like his responsibility is to double team this guy when we have 56 right here, right? I mean, the run is right through where he started. And so I'm not 100% sure on this one. Correct me if someone else thinks that, hey, this was the receiver that's coming around by design to pick up 56. But it just feels kind of strange that that he wasn't blocking 41, he wasn't blocking 56, and he felt that he had to double team the guy that our center clearly had. I don't know. Kind of a strange one to me. See Dawand here on the right-hand side. Again, this is another run to the left that we shouldn't have the right tackle's guy kind of blowing up this run. So we're going to highlight this one again. Again, this runs to the left. So we want Dawand Jones to seal this guy here, at least from going to the left. And again, you see Dawand's guy just kind of blow up this run. So now Jerome has no choice but to kind of break this lateral. And again, we kind of want him going more vertical. And I think Dawand Jones forced him to run where the play wasn't really meant to be. So Dawand Jones, again, some big blown assignments on big play opportunities. I think it's very realistic to say he costed us 7 on that play. Now I want to jump to the second lowest performer of the game, which was Zac Zinter. Zac Zinter did not have a good game either, again. Now granted, Zac Zinter is a backup, but this is an Andrew Berry third-round draft pick. This was a guy that we were bragging that we got a steal because he was injured last year, and a guy that could have been a first-round pick or a second-round pick that we got a steal on. This isn't a good performance from him. So you see Zac Zinter here just getting smoked off the ball. We'll show this again from the back angle here. So again, we're watching number 70 here, our right guard. See on this run play, I mean, he's just getting beat bad. Into the run as well. I mean, you're supposed to be sealing this edge here, keeping your guy to the right, and then the 69 just goes right around him. And this kind of scares me because, Nick Chubb isn't going to fix this. I think we want to see Nick Chubb in his prime, and this isn't going to be good enough. See Zac Zinter here. Again, I think we showed this play, but he just gets scorched. So we'll kind of go through this a little quicker. We've already gone through it, but again, they're just going right around him. I mean, see, right up the middle, his guy. And luckily, Deshaun gets rid of it, but this is a bad position that we're putting our quarterback in, and we're doing it consistently. Right here, you'll see Zac Zinter right here. This is another one of these twist moves that we cannot pick up on. Now, I circled Zac Zinter's here. This is probably Nick Harris, Dawand Jones, and Zac Zinter. I think this was probably maybe the offensive line's cringiest play of the game. And again, I think the most frustrating part is they're only rushing 4. This isn't a blitz. They're not sending 6 guys. And so how 94 gets a clean run at our quarterback without being touched is beyond me. And again, in zone blocking, Dawand's supposed to get this outside guy, which he does. Zac Zinter is supposed to pass off 94 to Nick Harris. Nick Harris whiffs. Again, he's not recognizing that 94 is his guy. You need to switch. By the time he does recognize it, it's way too late. He's already gotten beat, and he's already sacking the quarterback. And I think the bad part about this play is Zac Zinter Again, because of this miscommunication, not only is 94 getting a clean, unblocked run at our quarterback, but Zac Zinter gets smoked too. Even this guy 69 that we're double teaming splits the double team because of a miscommunication and we're late. And he gets a clean run at our quarterback. And then when you compile that with Dawand Jones also getting smoked around the edge, he's the only guy that picked up the right guy in the play, but he just gets smoked. You got a play where 3 of our linemen are standing around and Deshaun Watson is sacked within 2 seconds. Again, I think that was a cringeworthy play from our offensive line. Again, if you look when Deshaun's getting hit, there's nowhere to throw to. I mean, he would have had to make a decision right about now on where to throw it, and you got nothing. So this is just an inevitable sack by, I think, one of the worst, cringiest offensive line plays of the day, which is saying a lot. It's another one. We're going to look at Zac Zinter here on the right-hand side. Again, just getting beat and leaving another unblocked guy at a run at our quarterback. Now, luckily, Deshaun Watson recognizes this, gets the ball out on time. It ends up being a positive play, an 8-9 yard play by Jerome Ford. This turns into a good gain. But when we are doing this all the time, we don't always have these checkdowns open. So again, this is just a simple twist move here. 94 and 69 are switching positions. We're in zone blocking. Nick Harris is supposed to pick up on 93. Zac Zinter is supposed to pick up on this looping guy. We just let them free every single time. We saw this against the Giants. We saw this against the Cowboys. They're not going to stop doing this until we start picking it up. And so, again, the shame is not only is 69 coming on an unblocked hit at our quarterback, but we blow the block on 94 too. I mean, he's running through our double team because we're late. We're not communicating. And the frustrating part is this is not a blitz. We have 5 linemen blocking 4 linemen. And so the idea that we're not going to block 2 of them, 2 out of 4 with 5 guys, again, this play didn't matter, but we know if this wasn't a screen pass, how catastrophic that could be. Here's another play with Zac Zinter. I don't think he's supposed to just let his guy completely through. He ends up baiting on Jerome Ford here. Deshaun makes a little bit out of nothing. So we'll see. We'll break this one down. Again, it looks like Nick Harris is pulling, and it looks like 94 is his guy, is at least what it seems. So I just don't think... I know it worked out because the guy ended up going to Ford and not Watson. It was a good fake, I guess. I just don't think this is what Zac Zinter was supposed to be doing on this play. So again, plays like that, that's how you get a 45 rating or whatever it was for in the 40s for Zac Zinter. Not good enough. Let's jump to Nick Harris. I didn't think he played as bad as the other 3 on the line, but there was a few moments that I think Nick Harris would like to have back. We've already covered a few plays that Nick Harris was responsible for, so I'm not going to replay those ones. But again, you see Nick Harris right here. You got a chance here to score a touchdown. You got to take on this linebacker, 43, and make some push. And 43 ends up just going right through Harris and tackling our running back at the 1-yard line. Again, to me, this should be a touchdown with better blocking by Nick Harris here. So again, we're pulling him here. Again, seal that. You're supposed to be the lead fullback that's supposed to take on this guy here, but he kind of gets pushed to the side, and then all these guys just kind of run through Nick Harris. Again, to me, this should be a touchdown, but it wasn't. And again, we're going to be focusing on Nick Harris. And again, we've already covered this. This is the game-winning play, or the game-losing play, I guess you could say. And so we're not going to go into too much more detail, but again, this is game on the line, Nick Harris. Just lets him right through. And again, we probably missed Jerry Jeudy with the way that pocket fell apart. We'll get to the miscue section. Nick Harris also snapped the ball at a critical moment over Deshaun Watson's head and led to going backwards on the game-winning drive. Huge mistake by Nick Harris. We'll get to that in the miscues section. Not a great game for Nick Harris. Lastly, we're going to jump over to James Hudson, who I thought, if I'm going to critique PFF, that he had a worse game than PFF thought. I really think Bitonio did better than PFF thought, and James Hudson did worse. I think that PFF is contributing some of James Hudson's flaws to Joel Bitonio, because I really think that he was a massive liability here. So we've already covered this play, but this is James Hudson just getting blown. Again, what's the theme here? A simple twist move where two linemen are switching spots just completely confuses James Hudson. He just gets a clean shot at our quarterback. I know we've covered this play, but we got to reiterate that one in the James Hudson section. Next play here, you'll see James Hudson on the left just getting torched. Now, luckily, Deshaun feels it, steps up in the pocket, running, ends up turning it into a 9-yard, 10-yard run. Good play by Deshaun. But again, on the left-hand side here, when you are getting torched like this, he tries to one-arm shimmy him, and that didn't do anything. His guy just went right around him. And now, this is not where you want to have James Hudson standing right here with this guy coming in at our quarterback. Ultimately, a good play by Deshaun Watson, but again, just these types of things can be killers. Again, this is another James Hudson. I think this could have been a bigger run here, but again, his guy is just beating him on the run block. So we'll jump to the back pylon angle of this one, but again, stay in front of your guy. This is a run play on the 5-yard line. We can't have your guy here just running around you. Left-hand side of your screen here, you'll see James Hudson. Yeah, this one wasn't egregious, but I think it just kind of shows that they're just kind of consistently getting around him. This one definitely wasn't his worst one of the game, but again, they're just kind of running through him, right? So luckily, Deshaun gets rid of this ball quick, doesn't really make an impact, but again, we want to see a little better. This is one from James Hudson. The run is to the left, and so why James Hudson is not stealing this edge just doesn't make sense to me. And his guy ends up with just a clear, easy tackle on a running back. We'll show this from the front view here so we get a little more information here, but the run is to his side. So I think that is clearly 44 is your guy. The run is coming towards you. You want to be able to seal this and hold your block here. I don't know what he's doing. Again, he's just standing here now while his guy that he just let go of now is just a clear run at a running back. Again, I think that's just really bad run blocking. See James Hudson here on the left-hand side, just gets torched. Now this play, nobody's open, right? There's nothing here, nothing with Adkins, nothing with Amari Cooper here. So this is a good play by Deshaun just to run it out of bounds. But again, focusing in on James Hudson here. This is your guy, 99. Block him. What are we doing? You're just going to let him run right through? And this is sort of a naked boot for Deshaun Watson here, so he's not going to turn his head and even start looking downfield until right about now. And so this is not how we put our quarterback up for success when he's just now looking downfield for the first time and he's got 99 directly in his face. James Hudson not doing much of anything. And so it ends up being a 2-yard run, but I think the bad part about this is if we did have someone deep downfield, Deshaun really had no opportunity to look for him. He had to immediately start running for his life because of James Hudson on the backside. Here's another James Hudson. This one's not egregious, but again, I think it's just how fast can you get pushed 5 yards back into our quarterback? This is more of a bull rush. Again, where he just gets pushed back directly into the QB. Again, Deshaun Watson gets rid of it quick, but again, when we started out here, right? How did you end up getting pushed back so quickly directly into the quarterback? I mean, I think you just want to see a little more strength there. James Hudson here again. We've already covered this play too. This was the 3rd and 16, but just getting smoked. And I think these plays are frustrating because I think you can live with getting beat, but this is just a missed assignment. He's supposed to switch on to 69. He doesn't. 69 gets a clean look at our quarterback. So again, to me, not a good game by James Hudson. I think the only person that I think played well on the line is Joe Bitonio, and when 4 out of 5 are causing serious duress, it's going to make life really hard to run. That's why our first 12 carries went for 20 yards. Deshaun is constantly getting hit. He was pressured on 40% of dropbacks. So you might say, hey, Andy Dalton, smoked the Raiders last week. Well, Andy Dalton was pressured on 18% of dropbacks last week. Deshaun was pressured on 40, right? And so these things impact the game. They impact what's going on. And even with good QB performance, it affects us in a negative way. Lastly, though, I got to get to the miscues here. We talked about some of the things that are plaguing our team from scoring points. Special teams, we missed an extra point here. This should be a chip shot for Dustin Hopkins, but I miss it. And so this takes points off the board. This ended up coming back to bite us, right? We got the ball all the way down to the 10-yard line, and instead of being down by 3 with a chip shot to go into overtime, we're down by 4, meaning we need to go for a touchdown, which meant that we needed to go for it on 4th down. We ended up not converting. This is why can't we score 20 points? Well, we got to, score the points that are available for us. Then this is the Amari Cooper play. I mean, great play by Deshaun Watson here. This will be an 82-yard touchdown pass that's subtracted from Deshaun Watson's stats. So when we talk about, why was he only 200 yards this game, and stuff like this was happening. So this is really a perfect pass by Deshaun Watson. I know Cooper's wide open here, but what I want to highlight is Deshaun Watson is running. He's jumping into a direct hit from a lineman. And I know this pass isn't difficult to see or complete, but he hits Judy directly in stride without Cooper even breaking stride at all. And so instead of this being, Amari Cooper coming back on the ball and it turning into a 30-yard gain, because it's a perfect pass on the money, this would have been a touchdown. So again, we didn't highlight in the Zac Zinter section, but I think this is Zac Zinter's guy right here. Number 10, just goes right around him. I mean, what are we doing here? We just whiff on the block. And so this forces Deshaun up. And then again, I want to highlight, I know people are mad about the call, but it is a hold. Again, is it the most egregious hold? No. Does this happen to Myles Garrett 10 times a game? Yes. But this is a hold. You can see him. It's not a problem right now. When the lineman is in front of him, you're allowed to hold when your lineman is in front of your body. But once he kind of breaks out, you have to let go. And you can see him tugging at this jersey right here. This is why this was a penalty. This was the right call. I know people are mad about it. Was it a little finicky? Yeah, but this is a hold. This is Nick Harris negating a huge play. And again, I want to highlight again, Deshaun is jumping as he's getting hit by a 300-pound lineman and tackled to the ground. A perfect strike right in stride, 35 yards down the field to Amari Cooper that ultimately won't count because of our center. And so these are killing us, right? I know every team has penalties, but last week we were second in the league in penalties. This is what we needed to clean up to score more points on offense. We're one of the league leaders, and we did it again in a major way. This wasn't the only penalty. We also had illegal formations on Amari Cooper that negated a first down. We had other penalties throughout the game, but this is the most obvious one that, again, just very clearly takes 7 off the board. This is probably a game-winning touchdown pass. This is probably getting Watson closer to a 300-yard game. This would have changed the game. We probably win the game with that. But Nick Harris has got to be better. This is a play real quick I wanted to highlight from Cooper. I don't think Cooper's playing up to his potential. I think you see right here Deshaun Watson is checking down to his running back. I think what he's expecting is Cooper to make one of these 2 blocks. So if Amari Cooper can block this linebacker here or even the safety, what you have now is D'Onta Foreman with what should have been a one-on-one matchup. So Deshaun's releasing the ball. Cooper, go block this guy. That way Foreman has a one-on-one matchup with really no one behind him for what could have been a big game. Not only does Cooper not block him here, I sort of understand him not picking up on that block, but again, D'Onta Foreman now makes a move. I think you want to see Cooper make this block. He just beat that first guy. So go make this block here. And he doesn't. He just stands around and ultimately, it's whatever. It's an air gain. But I think if you're just watching Amari Cooper here, this is a play that could have been a bigger gain. And so not impressed here from the blocking effort from Amari Cooper on a play that I think we probably could have got 10 or 15 more yards if Cooper is focused. Again, miscues. We already covered Nick Harris blowing blocks. Deshaun Watson is looking to the right at his running back. He's not hiking the ball right now. The ball gets snapped. This is a critical play. We move 50 yards down the field. We're ready to score the game-winning touchdown. It's 1st and 10 on the 15-yard line. We have been completing 83% of our passes, adjusted completion percentage. 1st and 10, we're cruising. Again, Nick Harris, you can't snap this ball right now. This just hurts. Luckily, Deshaun falls on it. I also want to point out, again, with James Hudson just getting burned, I get Deshaun fell on it, but James Hudson, can you block somebody so that your guy doesn't go right to the football? I mean, regardless of whether or not he knew it was a fumble, James Hudson's getting burned here. But, again, just a really bad play on a critical moment, 1st and 10 on the 15 with 1 minute left to go backwards 6 yards. Miscues are killing us. And then again, kind of talking about miscues, so that the offensive line blew that play. So now it's 2nd and 16, and then that was an incomplete pass. That was the ball that was deflected at the line of scrimmage. Now it's 3rd and 16. James Hudson just whiffs on the block, 3rd and 16. Right? So now 2 out of 3 plays on the game-winning drive, the offensive line just blew. Now this one, we've covered this twice now. Deshaun Watson made a great throw. It ended up not mattering. But again, 2 out of the first 3 plays on the game-winning drive, just complete miscommunication assignments, putting us in a terrible spot to win the game. Now, luckily, this was a great play. And then the last play of the game, again, we've covered this again, but another total breakdown by the offensive line where, again, could he have maybe tried to throw it in a spot where Adkins can get it? Maybe. Adkins is not Njoku. He doesn't have a 45-inch vertical to make some spectacular play. We need to get this to the 3rd read, and I don't think the offensive line, again, with 49 unblocked and 94 also pretty much unblocked, we never got to be able to turn our feet to Jerry Jeudy, who was the game-winning play. So I think it's very frustrating at the end of the game when we have 15 yards to go for the offensive line to fall apart in 3 out of the last 4 plays at the most critical moments of the game. That's tough. Again, it's tough to overcome that. I think we overcame it on 3rd down, but you're not going to overcome this every play. It's just very difficult. Couple notes on Kevin Stefanski. We decided not to kick a 58-yard field goal after Hopkins already made a 56-yarder. We decided to burn a timeout when we had 3 at the end of the game. I think it was on this play. I think it was before this play. We burned a timeout, and so we only had 2 timeouts when we turned the ball over instead of 3. Had we had 3, a 3 and out, theoretically, we could have used all 3 timeouts and got the ball back. And so I kind of blame Stefanski for a little bit of clock management snafus there at the end. I would have liked to, if this play didn't work, which it didn't, to maybe give our defense a chance to get a 3-and-out, to get the ball back. That didn't happen. At a certain point with some of these offensive line miscommunication issues, you got to start blaming coaching. I mean, we saw this last week against the Giants. We saw this week 1 against the Cowboys. We saw it second half against Jacksonville. I mean, this is week 4. Now we can't pass off a zone block to somebody else. I think you got to start blaming coaching a little bit on why we're doing that. And guess what? The blueprint's out on how to get pressure on the Browns. Linemen just switch their spots, do a little quick stunt, a little quick twist. Pretty basic stuff, and it works almost every time. And so if we don't fix it, I don't care if Nick Chubb comes back. I don't care if Watson, like today, has an amazing game. We're not going to be successful. And so all these things are killing us. Amari Cooper leads the league in drops. Again, he had a huge one today. We'll jump back to that play again today. Again, this is a game-wrecking type play. This is a ball that we simply cannot drop here. Amari Cooper's drops are so bad this year that if you doubled artificially every single other receiver not named Amari Cooper, if you doubled their drops overnight, Amari Cooper would still lead the league in drops. Amari Cooper has 6 drops, and the second most receiver has 3 in the entire NFL. And they're not little drops. They're not 3rd and 16 dropping a screen pass that didn't matter. They're drops like these that are changing the game, that are taking points off the board. Week 1, we dropped a touchdown in the end zone. Week 2, we dropped a 3rd and 10 that would have got us down to the 10-yard line. And then here, week 4, and he had a good game last week. If you watched last week's breakdown, we praised Amari Cooper. But this is a game-wrecking play. Again, if you take back the penalty and the blocks, I know with Deshaun Watson, people will say, even though it's pretty obvious this wasn't his fault, I think people can start seeing that now. People will still say he only threw for 176 yards and he had an interception and there was only 1 touchdown. Couldn't have been that great of a game. This play right here is probably 30 yards, 25 yards, 30 yards. So, tack that to 176. You're now above 200. And then again, we had an 82-yard touchdown call back, right? I mean, those types of things right there. I mean, just those 2 plays that he pretty much completed, that could have been a 300-yard passing game with 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Again, that's not even including plays like this where, I think it could have been 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions with 350 yards very easily. But again, we got to fix some of these problems that are leading to plays like these not getting made. Some people will say, oh, Deshaun just dinks and dunks. We didn't really make any big plays. He's just throwing screen passes. We have to do that. Our offensive line averaged a 50 PFF ranking. We had 2 guys that were ranking in the 40s with plays like this. We don't have time. We don't have the actual time to run a long developing deep route. And it is hurting Deshaun. If you go back to his time in Houston, throwing the deep ball is one of his strengths. He's got the arm strength. He's got the accuracy. But we simply don't have time. We have to adjust and throw quicker routes and get rid of the ball fast, which means less explosive down the field plays. Until our offensive line starts performing at least average, we're kind of clipping Deshaun Watson's wings on stuff like this. He sees the read. He sees the right play. But, again, you got to throw it 2 seconds too early before the route's even ready. So, again, great game by Deshaun Watson to me. Again, PFF had him rated as the 2nd highest quarterback in all of football. Yes, that's over Joe Flacco. I know. Thank you, Joe Flacco, for beating the Steelers. But, I don't think that's what we need right now. I think what we need is for some of the other players, offensive linemen, receivers, penalties to start improving around Deshaun Watson, especially in a game like this. And we were critical on Deshaun last week. We talked about him being part of the problem with the New York Giants. We highlighted 6 or 7 throws that we thought he should have made last week. And so he's by no means perfect or deserves no blame. But if your worldview is that Deshaun Watson, the problems with the Browns start and end with Deshaun Watson, I think you're wildly misformed. And I think this game should be a huge eye-opener. Not only do I like his 24 completions out of 32 for a 75% completion rate, I love his incompletions, which is saying a lot. Again, we went through all 8 of his incompletions. I love 5 out of 8. I thought they were great throws. They were great decisions. And so really good game by Deshaun Watson. I think that should give people a little bit more confidence about what's going on here and probably open up more obvious insight into what the biggest problems with the Browns actually are right now. Jerry Jeudy, we didn't have a chance really to cover much of him, but I think he's been kind of a bright spot. A few balls that I think he could have made great plays on today to help us out, but he's been really pretty consistently one of our better players. I think that he could start taking over that number one receiver role. I think he's who Deshaun Watson is most comfortable throwing to. Again, this breakdown will be just on the offense, but I do want to highlight a couple things about the defense. The Raiders came in with the worst rush team in the NFL, and they actually had more rushing yards today than the entire season combined, which is pretty bad. Missed tackles are a huge problem for us right now. Not only did they have 150-some yards rushing, but they had 99 yards after contact. So think about that for a sec. That means after we hit them on the run, they had 99 yards. The only person that maybe played better than Deshaun Watson on the entire field was Alexander Mattison. We made him look like Jerome Bettis. He had more yards on one carry against the Browns than he did the entire season combined before that. On defense, we only had 10 pressures, and Miles had 5 out of 10. So I don't think we're getting a lot of production out of people not named Myles Garrett. I think we need to start seeing more consistent pass rush across the line. 12 missed tackles. Again, that's killer. We're averaging 2.3 yards after contact on defense, which is, I believe, the worst in the NFL. Meaning after we hit someone with the ball, they average an extra 2.3 yards. It's really bad. Martin Emerson's is not playing well right now. It felt weird that we were backing off so much. It almost looked like Schwartz was trying to give them 5 yards every play. We had our corners back 10 yards off the receivers. That was really confusing. I understood why we did that for Malik Neighbors, because he might be the next Justin Jefferson. But without Devontae Adams, it seemed very strange how much leeway we were giving the receivers off the line of scrimmage. It almost looked like we were scared of the Raiders receivers, who are nothing to brag about, which was very strange. Again, when they rush for 150-some yards, they're keeping Deshaun Watson, who was, in this game, the best player on the field, off the field. Again, these turnovers, these penalties, when the Raiders took over, they ran it down our throats. They milked the clock, and they kept Deshaun Watson off the field, which hurt us overall. When you look at our run game, it's been really ineffective through 4 weeks on offense. On average, we're getting hit after 1 yard, which is the worst in the NFL, meaning that when Jerome Ford gets the ball, that he's getting hit before he gets past a yard. And so, it's the worst in the NFL, and that goes down to our line. So what that tells you is that that's going to happen to Nick Chubb too, unless we start improving the offensive line performance. It's going to be tough for any running back in there. Now, granted, Nick Chubb's a lot better than Jerome Ford, so he puts on his hero cape sometimes and breaks through that. But we are getting hit within the first yard of every run play on average, and so the line is really disrupting that. Again, we had 20 yards on our first 12 carries. Deshaun Watson was our leading rusher almost into the fourth quarter. This makes it really hard to move the ball, right? So overall, to summarize everything, the line is still our number one problem. It's been our number one problem week 1. It's been our number one problem week 2. It's been our number one problem week 3. And it's been our number one problem week 4. I know everyone wants to put 100% of the blame on Deshaun Watson, but we got to improve the line first and foremost, or else we're not going to be able to run, we're not going to be able to pass, we're not going to be able to wait on long developing deep routes. And quite frankly, we squandered a great game for everyone that says we've never seen Houston Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, I think we just saw Houston Deshaun Watson. I think if you just rewatch this game and look at it not from a box score, but look at it from the actual plays, we saw a lot of plays that were vintage Deshaun, that were the Deshaun Watson that we're paying $46 million for. It was here. I think we just saw it. But again, I think we sort of squandered it. I mean, to have a good quarterback performance and still lose to the Raiders without Devontae Adams and without Max Crosby, that's tough. I mean, we're a bad offense right now. Drops, we're still a league leader. Again, I think we have 16 drops now in the year. Last week we had 14. These are game wreckers, too. These aren't like minimal drops that don't really make an impact. We are dropping the ball in huge moments of huge games that are taking points directly off the board for us. Amari Cooper at the top of that leaderboard for drops. Penalties, we're still one of the league leaders. And again, they're not just a holding on first down. These are holdings that are bringing back 82-yard touchdown passes for us. These are killing us as a team. These are just stunting the offensive growth. Today we lost special teams. I mean, their kicker was flexing on us. I think that was hilarious, by the way. But they beat us on the special teams. They were punting, and they had their mojo on special teams, and we were out there missing extra points, which turned into, you could blame it on special teams for not at least getting us into overtime. And so I think a lot of blame to go around again. Kind of squandered a great quarterback game. So we got to fix things going into week 5 versus Washington. They're actually a lot better team now than they were on paper. So a lot to fix. Hope you enjoyed this tape, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.